Hello and welcome to Rebel to Rise, where business meets human design. I'm Erin Hines, your darn good business coach, here to help you break the rules, trust your instincts, and own your brilliance unapologetically. In this space, we blend the power of human design with real-world business strategy so you can ditch the shoulds, embrace your true self, and create a life and career that lights you up every single day. Ready to rebel, rise, and redefine success on your terms? Let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome back to Rebel to Rise, where business meets human design and where your joy finally gets to lead the way. Today's episode is one I've been excited to record because we're diving into something that might feel radical in the business world, and that is joy. Not some fluffy bonus after years of hard work, but the foundation for building a business and life you actually want. Because I believe your joy is your compass, your joy is your strategy, and your joy is your power. And when you align your business with joy, it's game over. You become magnetic. Opportunities find you, and people feel your energy and want to be a part of it. You don't have to chase, push, or force. You just have to follow what lights you up. And if you've ever felt like you're doing all the right things in your business, but you still wake up tired, uninspired, or like something is missing, this episode is for you. This is about shifting from how can I be more productive today to how can I enjoy the hell out of what I do and trust the results will follow. Because when you follow your bliss, your purpose reveals itself. Your gifts come online. Your whole business becomes like this magical movie where you're just vibing and people are drawn to you without even having to try. So let's get into it. I'm going to start by telling you there was a point in my business where everything just felt blah, where I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't burned out exactly, but I definitely was in this lull. I still loved the work I was doing, but when it came to posting, showing up, creating, it was beginning to feel like a chore. It felt like I was going through the motions, and that is definitely not how I wanted to show up and run my business. I decided to start focusing on what did make me joy, and that was talking to people, whether it was working with clients directly or networking. And the more that I focused on what brought me joy in my business, I started noticing some little signs showing up. And one particular sign was 3 different people said they could listen to me talk forever. Which, hello, as an introvert, that was a bit of surprise. And I was like, are you sure about that? But I started to pay attention. And then one day, someone suggested I start a podcast. And just something lit up inside me. It was a full body yes. It wasn't logical. I never once thought about podcasting. I didn't have it all mapped out, but I felt it. I felt that spark, that joy, that aliveness. And because I've learned to trust my sacral response as a generator, I leaned into it. And you might be able to guess the result. Yes, that is right. The podcast now exists and you're listening to it right now. And I have to say, I have had so much more fun in marketing and doing business now than I had in years. So if you're in this lull of things feeling heavy or forced, this is your permission slip to shift it to joy. I gave myself permission to step back and release that pressure to have it all figured out. I think we get so caught up feeling like we have to know the way, we have to know all the steps. But if you start focusing on what brings you joy, like I did, I just started focusing on what I actually enjoyed. And sure enough, this podcast landed and felt like the perfect next step. I had the energy, I had the vision, and I realized this is what I wanted. Not because I should, but because I genuinely brought me joy when I thought about podcasting. And that's why joy matters in business. Success comes from using joy as your compass and your purpose. I was once having a conversation with a mentor and she said, What if your purpose was to just live life following what lights you up? My mind was blown from that question. It hit me like a sack of rocks. Could it be that easy? And the more I thought about it, just living from a place of joy, it was like a weight was being lifted off of me. It was like the unspoken permission slip for me to stop searching for the answer and start living in the moment, following what brings me joy. And I was like, yes, sign me up, let's go. So I want to ask you, what if your purpose in life was just to be you and enjoy the journey? Business is not supposed to feel like an uphill battle. I believe life is supposed to be fun and enjoyable. But we've been taught to associate our success with sacrifice, that we have to hustle and grind and earn our worth, and that rest and play are rewards for after we've been productive enough. Something we could do one day when things calm down a bit. But, spoiler alert, that's backwards. Joy isn't a reward, it's the fuel. What if your purpose isn't something you find through effort, but it's something you remember through joy? What if joy was your breadcrumb trail back to your gifts? What if being fully, unapologetically you is the most powerful way for you to lead and serve? Joy isn't fluff. It's fuel. It's magnetism. It's clarity. When you're lit up, you become magnetic to the opportunities, the people, the ideas that are meant for you. And when you're following your bliss, you're not hustling. You're creating, you're expressing. And that's when you're most powerful. When you're lit up, you show up. You take action. You magnetize results. And everything starts to feel easier because you're no longer pushing up against yourself. The more you align with what excites you, the more your business becomes a playground, not that salt mine you have to show up to every day. At this point, you might be wondering, how can you tell the difference between genuine joy and pressure disguised as a should? And this is where conditioning gets sneaky. So here are a few signs that it's pressure to do something and not coming from a place of joy. You're doing it because someone said that was the key to success. You're afraid of what will happen if you don't do it. It drains you, but you keep saying, this is what it takes, and push forward. And then there's that quiet ick in your body, even if your mind is saying, this is the smart thing to do. Genuine joy and alignment feels like something might be scary, but it's still exciting. It's when your body leans in. You feel energized, even when this task might feel challenging. And it feels like you, like your voice, like your vibe, like your rhythm. Joy isn't always meant to mean ease. It means resonance. It means you're choosing what's right for you, even when it stretches you. Next, I'd like to dive into how joy shows up as each human design type, because again, we're not all meant to experience joy the same way. So, generators and manifesting generators, when you're following what lights you up, life flows. You attract opportunities, clients, ideas, and success without chasing. But when you ignore your joy, if you're only doing what you have to do and ignoring what excites you, that's the fastest path for you to burn out. Your joy is the path to your success, wealth, and impact. When you feel that that gut saying yes, follow it. Even if it doesn't make sense right away, let your gut lead. Satisfaction is your North Star. For projectors, the more you do what you love, diving deep into your zone of genius, the more the world will take notice and the more recognition will flow your way. Invitations come when you're in your joy. You're here to guide and not grind. You don't need to do more. You need to focus on what makes you feel successful. Your joy is your magnet. Manifestors. Your joy comes from feeling peace and power. You thrive when you're initiating from desire and starting the things that you feel deeply called to. The more you clear space and stop explaining and apologizing, the more your joy expands. Your joy is in your boldness. Don't wait, go. Reflectors. Surprise and delight are your compass. You're here to be enchanted by life, so stay in your awe and protect your environment. If you're not delighted in your environment, in your people, it's time to shake things up. When you're surrounded by the right people and energy, joy naturally bubbles up in you. So follow that sparkle. Now you might be wondering how to bring more joy into your business. So I'm going to give you some tips on how you could start bringing bits of joy into your daily routines. I want you to start asking yourself every morning, what would feel good today? What actually brings me joy? Not what looks impressive, not what everyone else is doing, not what should be fun, but what actually feels good to you. And you could start small, like adding a nap to your afternoon. Because yes, when I started my business, napping in the afternoon sounded like the most amazing thing and brought me so much joy. You could start dressing like how you feel. Stop dressing just because you feel like this is what I'm supposed to look like. Dress based on how you're feeling, how you want to be seen by the world, not based on other people's expectations. And you could start creating rituals that feel like a treat and not a chore. So you're excited for little points in your day that just bring you a little spark of joy to fuel you through the rest of the afternoon. Next, I want you to Marie Kondo your calendar. For each item on your calendar, ask, does this bring me joy? What can you remove, delegate, or shift to make space for what excites you? I also want you to work on designing a workflow that feels like a playground. Add music to spice up a task. Bring people together and co-work. Take more breaks and start using your best energy hours for their favorite tasks. And do this by blocking off time to do the work you love first and not last. Sometimes we think we just need to power through this and then the fun will come. But what if you actually did the things you love in the morning, and that joy will overflow into your afternoon when you have to do some task you don't enjoy as much? And my last tip is to say no more. Not everything deserves your time, and every no creates more room for what lights you up. And yes, some tasks just have to be done. You can't delegate everything. There's some responsibilities that you have to do personally. But ask yourself, how could I make this more fun? Can I turn on music? Can I light a candle? Can I drink my favorite drink? Maybe there's a way you could reward yourself after. Because the more joy you infuse into the mundane, the more sustainable your business becomes. Your joy is not a distraction. It's the most potent productivity hack. It's your soul saying, this is the way. And as you start to infuse more joy in your day-to-day, I also want to mention the upper limit problem. This refers to your subconscious tendency to self-sabotage when you're experiencing success and happiness. This concept suggests that we have this mental ceiling and how much joy or success we allow ourselves to experience. When you hit this upper limit of joy, your body is not used to feeling this good. So you subconsciously start to create drama, doubt, or distraction because that brings you back to your comfort zone. Most of us aren't feeling joy all the time. You're kind of in this trudging through life. And so when you have more joy, your body's like, what is this? So if, or maybe I should say when you hit your upper limit of joy, pause. Recognize this urge to shrink or overthink and lean in. Tell yourself, I get to feel this good. I get to enjoy life and I get to win. Because joy isn't a reward, it is the way. And following your bliss is not selfish. It's how you become your most impactful, energized, magnetic version of you. The more full your cup is, the more you have to pour into your business, your people, and your mission. So let this episode be a reminder. Your joy matters. Your energy matters. Your business should feel good to run, because when you lead from your joy, you just don't grow your business. You enjoy the journey of becoming who you are meant to be. So what if you just followed your bliss this week? What if that one little spark of curiosity or enthusiasm led you to your next big breakthrough? I challenge you to do one thing today that brings you pure joy. No agenda. Just do it because it makes you feel alive. Then let me know what that one thing was. Leave a comment, tag me in a post, or send me a voice note. I want to celebrate you having more joy in your life. And I want you to remember, you don't need to fix yourself to lead powerfully. You need to be yourself fully. That is where your purpose lives, in your joy. If you're looking to dig deeper into your joy with your human design, check out my 30-day embodiment journals designed for each human design type to help you align to your joy and bring more ease and success into your business. I will leave the link below. And as always, keep rebelling, keep rising. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of Rebel to Rise, where business meets human design. I hope you feel inspired to break free from those shoulds in your life and trust your inner compass as you create a life and business that truly lights you up. Remember, every day is a chance to rebel against the ordinary and rise into your authentic power. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a fellow rebel who's ready to lead their lives unapologetically. Until next time, keep trusting your intuition, keep breaking the rules, and most importantly, keep rising.